Let's go, girls. Welcome to Talk Wealthy to Me. I'm Michelle Taylor, founder of Women in Wealth. From breaking money myths to building wealth and achieving financial freedom, we're here to empower you to create your own path. Talk Wealthy. Now, join the conversation and let's change the way women think and feel about money. Okay, ready? Today's guest is Dr. Arnelle Wright, a powerhouse in dentistry whose journey is anything but traditional. From growing up without access to dental care to becoming the first Black female president of the Dental Society of Greater Orlando, Dr. Wright is not only a practicing dentist, she's a mentor, educator, and advocate for diversity and leadership in dentistry. Her mission, to empower the next generation of healthcare professionals to lead with excellence and impact, both clinically and economically. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Talk Wealthy to Me. I am your host, Michelle Taylor, and I am so happy to introduce someone who I think you're going to enjoy so much, Dr. Arnelle Wright. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really excited. The energy's good. I'm ready for us to chat.
I love it. Well, for everybody listening, tell them about you and what you do.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. So I'm Dr. Arnelle Wright. As Michelle said, I'm socially known as the Daily Dentist, where I've been building my brand and my platform for over 13 years. I am a general dentist. I'm a graduate of the University of Florida College of Dentistry. Go Gators. Yes. So appropriate.
Especially after last night.
I know.
They won.
Yes. And we were just screaming to the top of our lungs. We couldn't even get to bed because of the win. We couldn't believe it. But I'm here in Orlando. I'm a general dentist, and I am so excited to just bring some of my thoughts and everything to you all and, just share with your community. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I was just telling you out in the lobby.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. I was pre-dental.
Yeah.
So I love so much to see you and what you have built.
Thank you.
But yeah. So, okay. Why dentistry? How did that happen?
Goodness. So I always like to start the story by saying dentistry found me, right?
Mm-hmm.
As much as most people, they know their career path growing up, or more people that I have grown to hear their stories. They knew from 5 or 3, they had a dad or mom, an aunt, an uncle who were dentists. And I didn't have any of that. So growing up, I actually didn't have much dental care. And I know you probably would never even think that, but my background is we were really just trying to survive.
Sure.
And so when I went off to college, I was like, all right, I get to take things into my own hands. I get to use my financial aid to, take good care of myself. And so I found a dentist. And that experience, it was a routine dental visit that really, I don't know, just intrigued me.
Sparked something.
Yeah, it sparked something because the vibes, I was trying to figure out my personality, how would I use that in the workplace, or, what that would do for me. And the dentist, she was a female, and she still practices to this day. Her son is in practice with her now. And her office was so vibrant. She would just be cackling around the office. You could just tell that there was a family environment. And she really took good care of me, understanding my background and my circumstances. And so that for me, it was a shift. And I was not pre-dental at that time. I was pre-law. I thought that I wanted to be a lawyer because everybody in my family was like, oh, you can talk and you can debate and you can have these conversations. And so I thought that I wanted to be a lawyer. So I was on the pre-law track. So I ended up having to change my major after I had this epiphany about, I want to be a dentist, And so here I am.
That's a big shift.
Big shift.
Because when I went to school, I started off as elementary education and then shifted.
Okay.
And I remember it was wild.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny that you mention about pre-law because I think how many of us have said to our daughters or young people in our lives when they are strong women and opinionated and talkative, girl, you should be a lawyer.
Yes.
I know I heard it. Obviously, you heard it. That's so funny.
I literally signed up when I got to college. And as I was like, okay, I'll just be pre-law.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you made that shift.
Yeah.
And now was Orlando always home?
No. So I'm from a small town, Winter Haven. It's where Legoland. You probably know where it is.
I know Winter Haven.
Yes.
I'm from West Palm Beach.
Okay.
And one of my high school boyfriends went to school in Belle Glade.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Right around
Winter
same
Haven, they
area.
played each other. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so my whole entire family is there. When we being my husband and I, when I finished dental school, we decided to move to Orlando. It's like smack dab in the middle of both of our families.
Mhm.
So his family's in Jacksonville, mine's in Winter Haven. And so neither family would have to drive like ridiculously far. So we kind of just wanted to make sure that we were in a nice area. And like, who doesn't want to come to Orlando?
It's fun. Yeah.
So we were like, hey, we'll go to Orlando.
So how have you found setting up practice here? So now what are you doing? So you
Yeah.
graduate from UF.
Yeah.
You're a dentist.
Yeah.
You and your husband moved to
Yeah.
Orlando. Then what happened?
Yeah. Well, so to take it back, we had our first baby my senior year of dental school. Do not recommend
I was
that.
going to say, doing all these big things at one time.
Yeah. So it was like we were getting married, having a baby, moving, finishing boards, doing all of these big life changes. So we moved down here, and he was still commuting back and forth to Marion County because that's where he was working at his job at the hospital. And so we come down. I found a job, and the recruiter was like, "Oh, we have a location in Orlando. Orlando's a hot spot for dentistry. Like,
Okay.
it's where everyone wants to be, right?
Huh.
So it feels a little saturated, but there's always opportunities that are calling. And so I took an interview, and I liked the practice, and I said, "Okay, yeah, let's do it." First, I did a phone interview.
Okay.
And then I did an in-person interview. I liked it. And I was like, this is where I want to go. And so we came on down, and it has been really good. So I worked in that first location for 4 years. I've been a dentist for 8 years at the time that we're recording this. So, well, almost 8 years, like 8 years in a month. 8 years.
8 years.
Good. Okay. So I've been a dentist for 8 years at the time that we were recording this. And so my first 4 years in practice was at a corporate office in Apopka. And so I would have to commute very far. But my baby was very young. And so at the time, it wasn't that big of a issue.
Yeah.
But then once I had my second baby, that's when I was like, okay, I need to be closer to where like we live. And so then I transitioned into another practice, also still in a corporate office on our side of town. So we live on the east side of town. And so it hasn't been a struggle, being and working as a dentist. I feel like I've had a lot of great experience. Not only have I been able to do all that, I have been able to learn about the legislative side of dentistry, like advocating for both our patients, advocating for the way that we practice from a legislative perspective within the American Dental Association and the Florida Dental Association.
Which
yes.
you are the first African-American and female president of the ADA.
Well, no, not the ADA. Oh, I received that, but no, not yet.
And
of the Dental Society of Greater Orlando.
Okay, so I'll take that.
I know. Yeah, that's still a big deal.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when you finish dental school, you go into practice and your head is down. You're focused on doing the dentistry. But there's a big world of dentistry out there, and our patients have to be advocated for. So from an insurance perspective and from a payment processing perspective, there's so many things.
Lots of moving parts.
Lots of moving parts that if you're only focused on like the clinical side, you will miss all of this opportunity, and all of the people who are making the decisions are those who show up. So I mean, I can go down a bunny trail. Yeah, I could, but
so what I think is so interesting is so many dentists, I feel like, have a practice that they leave to their children or somewhere in their family. Like I shared with you, my dad's best friend, who I've always considered an uncle, he is now working in practice with his son. And
I love that.
Your first dentist, she now brought her son in. And when we were chatting earlier, you said that you wanted to at least have the opportunity to pass your practice on to your two boys. And
absolutely,
it is interesting. Do you find that often that you see as a family office? I feel like it's more common than it would be for like doctors or.
Definitely. Because once we finish dental school, we can go and open a practice. Now, I didn't do that. I worked, like I told you, for some years. And so at the time that we're recording this, I'm acquiring a practice, everyone.
So exciting.
So excited.
So anybody that needs a dentist in Orlando or has a dentist that they don't feel sunshine and rainbows when they walk in the room, Dr. Wright, your girl.
Hello. Okay. Thank you so much for that. I love that shout out. So I'm acquiring this practice. And like I was sharing earlier before we started recording, like it is for me as much as it is really for the next generation. I'm very tied to who comes after me because leading up to dentistry, like I told you, I didn't have like my mom or my dad or an aunt or uncle to really take me under their wing and say, hey, make these decisions. You need to take these classes in order to get on this path. I've kind of had to like feel around and figure it out on my own. And I mean, granted, I've had mentors, but your mentors, they can take you only so far, especially if you don't know what questions to ask, if you don't know what information you need, right? So I want to do the groundwork and I want to lay those tracks for my boys. In the state of Florida, one funny fact is in the state of Florida, you have to be a dentist in order to own a practice. So even if they want to go into the entrepreneurial side, like we talked about out there and have this different lifestyle, or if they want to, do financial, funding different practices or opening practices for the next generation, they can as an owner of the practice and as a dentist. So I want to have that as an option for them.
Yeah.
And I have so many mentees that look to me. They find me through social media, strangely, but maybe not so strange.
The world has changed.
Yeah, the world has changed. So like there are so many that have found me. And in the past 7 to 8 years, I haven't had really a place to bring them. I could bring them to my corporate office, but I still didn't have like my spin on it. Does that make sense?
It does.
And so now I'll have like full creative control, like we spoke about.
Well, and with like the client experience, and I think knowing your personality, and you are not a cookie cutter kind of girl.
No, I'm not.
So you
figured it out already.
Yeah. So you're going to have creative control over truly making a client feel like they're in your practice.
Absolutely.
The minute they walk in the door.
Absolutely.
And that's exciting.
That's what I want. I can't wait. There's so many developments that's going to come about. And so you'll be seeing some stuff on socials and we'll be figuring it out.
Okay. Well, I'm here for it. I'm so excited. So for you, you're a doctor, right? I mean, now that is a totally different field than being an entrepreneur or a business owner.
Ooh.
So as you have built this practice, do you feel that you are equipped with all of the things that you need? And what I mean by that is obviously you're equipped now as you're going through this process, but was it a big transition of learning as you go to figure out, okay, how do I perform as a dentist, but also now pick up this other hat in addition to mom and wife and friend and all the things to now be a business owner?
I love this question.
Did you feel prepared or did you have to build the plane while it was already in the air?
Yes. Oh, I love this question. Let's go. So I definitely did not feel prepared because to directly answer your question, in dentistry, in school, we only learn how to be a clinician. So we come out, we can do the hand skills, we can diagnose, we can read x-rays, we can identify abnormalities, and we can, put that up against something that's supposed to be normal. We can do all of those things and really, really well, right? But that business side, not even a part of the curriculum, only like a snippet of it at the end.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, because if we did have a lot of that business training, we would be in school for like 2 extra years if we really wanted it to be like quality. But there's this phrase, like I think in all industries, like lifelong learning, right? And so you kind of have to take interest in it. So I'm going to go back to your initial statement about there being a difference between being a doctor and a business owner or an entrepreneur. So interestingly enough, that's what we think as dentists, but we are really business owners and we are entrepreneurs when we go into private practice.
Oh, for sure.
That's the thing. But a lot of people don't put on that hat. They keep their head down and they only focus on the dentistry and they say, oh, somebody else, you handled it. Yes.
Well, and I think that it is when you're talking about truly building out a client experience, you have to remember that you're the one in charge.
Exactly.
And so many, and when you say that like going to dental school, you didn't learn any of that, no one is learning that. No one's learning how to truly run a business, to be an entrepreneur. And there are schools and tracks that you can learn that.
Right.
But I think the world, as we've already both said, has changed so much. And this entrepreneurship hype that is around all of us right now is like that elusive, I want to do that, but how do I do it? And thankfully, when you go to school to be a dentist or a lawyer or anything, the grit that gets you through that, I think is such a big tool that you can make applicable to being a business owner.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear also, your story.
Okay.
How was your relationship with money
Okay.
growing up?
Oh.
Did you have somebody that kind of was an example or that taught you positive things about money?
Not really. I can't say completely not really. So I will say up until about the end of high school,
Okay.
I literally didn't even know, like, I only saw wealth and I thought it existed only with celebrities. I thought that, whatever I saw on TV, those were like
The rich people.
the rich people. Yeah. And it was like so far away that it wasn't something that we would ever have. So we were trying to survive. Like, my mom was a single mom for a long time. She did end up getting remarried. So I have a stepdad and he's great. And so they did the best that they could. They taught us good life principles. And, I value those a lot. I feel like I'm a lot wiser than some people at my age, if that makes sense, because, my parents are a little bit older. But I did have this mentor who was actually a teacher of mine from like third, maybe second, I don't know, elementary up until middle school. Okay. And I ended up literally becoming a part of her family through her being in my life so much. She pretty much took me under her wing. Like, I would do Christmases with them. I just became their daughter, right? And they were the first examples that I had that I could have something better than what I had seen. And, we always hear the phrase, like, you can't be what you haven't seen. And so that was the first example that I had of something greater. Now, I don't know, like, their financial status, like if they're like wealthy and like millionaires, billionaires. I don't know all of that, right? But all I know is that what they showed me was completely different than anything I had ever seen. Like, money wasn't, I just felt like there was not really much restriction. Whereas for us, we knew that we didn't have it. You know what I mean? So that was my first clear indicator that there was a difference.
There was something else out there.
Yes. And so I am so thankful for that experience because it exposed me in a way that I had never been exposed. And that's why I want to expose my children. Yeah. Next generation. Yeah.
Well, and it makes me so happy to hear that, because I feel like the greatest gift that you can give to somebody watching you is exposure to what else is out there.
Yes.
Growing up, I had my aunt and uncle who had done very well.
Okay.
My parents were divorced, single mom, budgeted, down to the penny.
Yes.
But I got to peek behind the curtain, if you will.
Yes, absolutely.
And see like, oh, wow. So we go on this vacation that's all I've ever known. But when they're going on like these big vacations or these big things, and exposing young people to it, in my opinion, can make them hungry to go after.
Agreed.
And I love that you said that, because for our kids too, it's so important. Yeah. And I would love to ask you, if for anybody listening, I know you've heard me talk about this story, but for me, growing up, I was chasing this lifestyle, right? That entrepreneurship was the tool to get me there. Yeah. But I always said, when I get older, if I can have fresh flowers in my house all the time.
I love that.
And if I can have a refrigerator in my garage with drinks in it, only successful people have that. In my mind, that is what it would look like. Yeah. Was there anything that sticks out for you with this family where like they had this thing or whatever and you're like, oh, that's cool. Do you remember anything like that?
Oh gosh, I can say a few things. Going on vacations, having a motorhome. So like one of my life goals is I want to travel the country in a motorhome.
See, and because
I had never seen that.
A young girl, and I think that we're so impressionable. Yeah. And that's why I talk to you guys all the time on this podcast about just pay attention who's watching you, because you can be changing their lives from afar. And now are you still close to this family?
Oh yeah, they're my second parents. I call them the mom, my MOM, which is my other mom.
Oh, so can you imagine, like when you were going over there, she had no idea that here you are as a grown woman, successful. Yeah. That part of your journey is I want to have a motorhome to travel because of what you saw in
Yes.
third grade.
Yes. I
It's
had
wild.
no idea that this even existed. Like they had a pool, of course. So that was an indicator. And this is another one, which, we can have our differences on this, but swiping a credit card. Like we didn't have a credit card in my house. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I learned what a charge card was from them. I had no idea what a credit card or any of that was. That meant a lot to me. That's access.
It is.
It's access.
It is. And you think, I'm sure that you've got your boys,
Yeah.
but do you have nieces and nephews around you and
and
friends with kids?
I try and expose them way more. And I'm always like, I'm like that aunt. I'm like, come over here to aunt's house. Like, y'all want to go home with me? And I just want to show them,
what's possible.
Yeah.
So I took my nieces to Italy for their 16th birthday. And it was something that for me was so important. And when I made this promise, they were 3. And I could not imagine a path forward. Mm-hmm. I just knew I said it. Now I had to make it happen.
Yeah.
And we did it. Last year, we did it. And on the way home from that trip, my niece, both of them were like, wow. So I think it made them look at entrepreneurship in a different way, not just about money.
Right.
But about being able to leave and go on a trip.
Yeah, the freedom.
Not having the freedom, autonomy of time.
Yeah.
And one of my nieces said to me, I want to change my major.
Oh.
And I want to do what you do because you get to help women all the time.
Yeah.
And the lifestyle you've built. And she doesn't understand this, but her saying that, I just have goosebumps right now.
Yeah.
Is the greatest gift that she could have ever given me because someone gave that to me.
Yep.
Someone
Mission
gave
accomplished.
it to you.
Yep.
She's going to give that to someone else.
Yep.
And that's where we change the narrative.
Yes.
That's where we change what financial wellness and success stories look like for women that are typically not at the same table or golf course as the guys that are having these conversations.
I love that so much. Yeah, it's a gift.
So you're going to get the mobile home. Not the mobile home, the motorhome.
The motorhome, yeah.
Okay. When is that happening?
Oh, that might be
far. I love goals.
Oh,
this is what I do. I help people reach it. You got to put a number on
maybe
that.
5 years.
Okay.
I would love that to happen.
We have the receipts, everybody. Hold her accountable to this. Now we just need to figure out how
it might
to
not even
there.
take 5 years, to be honest with you. I believe in abundance, and I feel like I will attract, good things my way.
Well, and that's a really powerful thing you just said too,
Okay.
because so much of what we talk about is money mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for young women or any woman out there, we don't even realize the things we carry with us and unpack. I have had so many guests on this podcast that will say, growing up, I wasn't exposed to wealth.
Yeah.
So for me, I thought of people that were wealthier. They were like
snooty,
greedy and selfish and snooty. But that's all money mindset. And it prevents you from going after it because you don't identify as those things.
Yeah.
So,
I just thought that I could never have it. I didn't realize that it was for me. And it was when I was in college, there was a church that I was attending, and the pastor, he was very vocal about prosperity. Mm-hmm. And, that can be a very controversial topic in the spiritual space. And so I would always lean in whenever he talked about prosperity, and he talked about entrepreneurship because he was a businessman.
Oh, I love that.
I loved it so much too. And at the time, I don't think I was mature enough to understand some of the lessons that he was teaching us through scripture and through the sermons. Mm-hmm. But now going into entrepreneurship for real, full-time entrepreneurship, leaving my corporate job, some of those same stories come back. And I'm so thankful that I heard those when I was 20. It didn't apply to me at that time. Even thinking about, I don't know if I can talk about numbers, but even thinking about a salary of $100, I remember talking to him one time about being in a panic about making $100,000 or making $150,000. And he's like, I don't understand what the big deal is. But I was like, it is a big deal because I don't know what it was a big deal.
People, that is huge.
It's
until
huge.
You've done it.
Yeah.
Like he had.
Correct.
So I think, but what a
mindset.
gift he gave you
Yes.
around mindset.
Yes.
And I love that he did not make it counterproductive
Oh,
to
no.
your walk with God and
yeah,
your own
no,
religion, you know?
no.
I think it's so important to identify, and that can even be a money mindset and baggage we carry.
Absolutely. I honestly felt so comfortable talking to him. It was him and his wife, and they were entrepreneurial. And so I just felt like there was something, but I didn't really know when it would like hit me. But I was always intrigued when he talked about it, like wealth and, being entrepreneurial, being in business. And I didn't really know what it was. But now I'm like, those stories are coming back now.
Well, and statistically, women with money
Yeah.
do good with their money.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that the boys don't.
No.
So I'm very sensitive to that.
Yeah. We're aware. We love y'all.
Yeah. I find it so interesting. And for me, even with having leukemia as a teenager and then like trying to think through chasing after abundance, it was constantly a roadblock for me to think, well, I'm healthy and I don't want to ask for anything else.
Yeah.
But if you reimagine and shift your money mindset around what can I do with this to impact the people around me?
Yes.
Even if it is only providing a clear vision and path for the younger people that you love that are around you. Like when you say, come to my house.
Yes.
That matters.
It does. And that's what the thing that I will always take from those conversations. He would always say, what you could do with wealth. It's not about like, it just magnifies because people say, oh, you're blah, blah, blah. However, he's like, it just magnifies who you already are when you get money. Yeah. And so he's like, true. If you are this way already, you're just going to be more that way. And so if you're good and you're a good steward to begin with, you're going to be a better steward and you're going to have more to do and more impact that you can make in the community, the world, and your sphere of influence. And that's really what I want. I want to make an impact on the people around me.
I agree. And I think that for anybody listening who isn't sure what that impact, and listen, we are both sitting here and fully aware that everybody's at a different stage of their own money journey, right? So sure, it's easy for us to talk about abundance and being able to give because we're muddling through this.
Yeah.
I think for anybody that thinks, I don't even know what that would feel like, I would challenge you if this would help on the money mindset. The next time you're going through a Starbucks or a drive-through, pay for the car behind you. And I'm telling you, that is the best exercise to just see you're giving with nothing in return.
Yeah.
And it's $3 or $4.
Yeah.
I have gotten caught doing that once where they're like, the guy behind you's order is $35.50.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't planning on that. But the point is if you need and you're not sure what that would feel like and you're like, man, I want to feel what it would feel like, do something small like that.
Yeah.
It's amazing what giving a gift to others can do to reshift your own money mindset.
Yeah.
And I encourage everybody to look at money with abundance and say, it is meant for all of us. It is meant to be a part of our lives. It is a tool, you all. We all have the same toolbox. It's what tools we put in.
Yeah.
And if having extra money as a tool is something you want in your toolbox, then that is okay to want it and strive for it without feeling any kind of guilt or shame. And I think that's so important.
Agree. I love that.
What do you think
Tell me.
was the best or worst decision you made with money as a young person that maybe someone listening would, and I shouldn't say young person because we're all at different stages, but like best or worst money decision that you ever made?
I'm going to start with worst, which was not paying off my credit cards. Like that interest racking up, not even understanding
oh my God.
the interest. And now I'm like, I hate interest. Like what? I have to pay interest, So I'm like, we need to pay that off. So not paying off my credit cards. And maybe the better story is living above my means at the time. Does that make sense?
It totally does.
Yeah. So just not really understanding like the impact that high interest credit cards would have on like my own bottom line, if that makes sense.
It does.
It does. Yeah. But that's going to be a forever thing. I feel, maybe it doesn't have to be depending on like your money mindset,
Well, it's shifting because you don't debt for people that have been in debt, me included, you all know, I had a terrible, the movie Confessions of a Shopaholic.
Oh, that was your story.
I should have truly gotten royalties for that.
Oh my gosh.
But I think that when you realize that debt doesn't have to be bad.
Right.
It also it can be something that you say, I don't want any part of this either. But understanding how compounding interest works.
Correct.
Is so important.
I feel like that needs to be something that's taught in school. I really do. And so we talk to our boys about this right now. And they're 8 and 5.
And it's so important. Yeah. And that's talking about changing generational habits, right? Yeah. I do the same thing. And it's very easy you want to be careful to not give debt a negative or positive persona, right?
Agreed.
I think shifting the idea to you don't want to buy something that you couldn't afford to do without the card.
Correct.
With that being said, using a credit card responsibly basically is free.
Yeah.
Like if you travel a lot, you find a travel card, but you've got to have the discipline. So I think that that's the first layer of how do I work on the discipline side of this?
It's like the behaviors that you have to look into.
100%.
Yeah.
And especially with accumulating debt and how it feels.
Yeah.
I've had it wake me up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. It's heavy.
You went to dental school.
Listen,
you know way
it's
too much about debt. But I feel like if anybody out there that is struggling with debt, I would challenge you to think about how the credit card company is feeling, and they are living high on the hog, right?
Agreed.
Put yourself in that position, because when you learn about compounding interest, what a tool it is. If you invest your money, even if it's very little, whatever you have capacity to do.
A little goes a long way.
A little goes a long way. Yeah. And now you're talking about you're in that position of you're putting your money out there and it's working for you. And that feels really good.
Yeah.
So in those moments, for anybody struggling and feel the heaviness and the weight of debt, imagine what it would be like on the flip side of that and let that be a motivator.
Yeah.
But that's great advice.
Yeah.
So not getting into credit card debt.
Yes.
How did you get out of credit card debt?
Paying lump sums, doing big, so there's either the avalanche method or the snowball. Yes. So I tried both and I used both.
I didn't favor one over the other.
No, it just depended on how much extra money that I had, and I would just throw all of it at the credit cards at that time.
If anybody listening doesn't know the difference between those two things, feel free to drop a DM or a message in the show notes that I can send you resources, very good tools.
Yeah, very good.
Makes it feel doable, feasible.
Yep. And, another way is talking about it. So a lot of time I'm married. And so me and my husband, we spend differently. So if you follow some of these gurus and these financial teachers online, everybody's like, oh, you have one spender who goes crazy and they spend. And then there's somebody who holds really, really tightly. And so we had to also talk about our spending habits and our thought processes, what makes us spend, and the purchases, because I like to spend a lot on a little bit on a whole bunch of things. So I feel like I have a lot, whereas my husband, he's okay with buying one really expensive thing. And I'm like, you only got one thing, So we have different behaviors, and talking about it really has helped us too.
It's so true. It's so important. Money is a huge conduit to people getting divorced.
Correct.
It's very tricky.
Yeah.
But you know what I just thought of?
Tell me.
Do you think that the fact that you like to have a lot of things goes back to a scarcity mindset when you were little? Right?
Absolutely. And that has evolved as I've learned more about managing money, having more of it. It's evolved even more.
And now what do you do with your kids? Because I've talked about this before too, where I'm sure when you went to the store when you were a young girl and you asked for something, the answer was always a hard no.
Yeah.
And now when I go to the store, same thing for me.
Yeah.
But now with my kids, I've had to really check myself.
Yep, I do.
And be like, okay, no, you cannot buy any of these things, you don't need to get something every time we go to the store, but it's like I'm trying to fill the cup of that little girl.
Yes.
And then I need to realize that I'm now like creating their own issues with money mindset. Yes. So it's like an ongoing game.
It is.
We're all just working on this,
guys. Are. We're just here, you know, and that's okay. We're works in progress. So what I do with the boys, it depends on the thing that they're asking for. Mm-hmm. So we have this thing where we tell them to say, is this in the budget? So even if we have, but I learned that from my college pastor in college. So he would have his kids say, do we have the budget for this, or is this in budget? And so sometimes we say yes, and sometimes we say no. Oh, no, not right now. But we also ask for gift cards for their birthdays. So we'll pull from a gift card and say, hey, you have Amazon gift cards, you have Target gift cards, you have these. Toys R Us was a thing way back when.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. And so we have all of these gift cards, and we'll say, which gift card do you want to use? Do you want to use it on an experience, or do you want a thing? And so we also practice having them give away something. Like if we buy something, they have to be willing to give something away too, so that we don't just accumulate a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah.
I hate clutter.
Me too. Listen, physical clutter is mental clutter. I cannot.
Girl.
Don't get me started.
I cannot.
Yeah.
Where if everything is where it's supposed to be, everything is fine.
It's fine. Organized
and I'm not
going
to be organized chaos. And I'm not going to be a crazy person about it. But I try. It's so easy.
I know.
And when you have too much stuff, there's nowhere to put it. So the answer is go back to that like doing good for others thing.
Yes.
And like drop it off at a women's shelter.
Yep.
Or something to make room for some other things.
Yeah. So that's what we try to do. Yeah.
So where do you see your practice in 5 years? Like what is the big picture for you and your family and your practice?
Yeah, I love that question. So, and I think about this a lot. Mm-hmm. I want to be a multi-practice owner because again, as it relates to next generation, I want the people who are my mentees right now. So some of them are in dental school, like as we speak.
Okay.
And they don't necessarily have a practice to go to when they finish school.
Okay.
All right. So I want them to continue working with me. And I also want to teach them the business side because that's something that we don't get. So I want them to have a place to practice and to take care of their patients. And so I want to have multiple sites so that they can come and have a practice and then potentially partner in. And so I'm putting it out there. I'm saying it to the world that this is okay.
I love it.
Yeah. I want to have multiple
How many?
places. Oh, I'm not going to put a limit on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with as many as God will give me, to be honest. I do believe I'm a good steward. And I think not only of like physical and tangible resources, but of other people's like their trust that, that matters to me a lot. So,
and that's true because if you're teaching them and helping them and mentoring them, you only have so much capacity.
Exactly.
But we don't know what the number is. We're going to see.
Yeah. But there's a quote that I love, which says, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach a man a fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Right. So I hope to keep that cycle going of people wanting to own and then teach and then, pass on the knowledge. That's
great.
That's just, I don't know. That's what I want to do.
Okay. So as you hire people for this office, are we going to see lots of women in there?
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing, too, with how many people that are women business owners, even when it's a big business or a business where there's like 4 employees, how many of them?
We'll probably have like 4 or 5. Yeah. But that's okay. I feel like I know I'm called to be a conduit and like a connector. And so when I think of my employees and, there's some future employees that I still have in mind. When I think of them, I think of like, what is their career trajectory? What do they want to do? And I want to start those conversations from the beginning because I want them to know that there's something bigger because I've tapped into something bigger than just the 4 walls of clinical dentistry and just focusing on a tooth. And I want them to know that there's more for them if they desire to have it.
What? I love that because all eyes are on you.
Yeah.
When you ask for the platform, now we're making big things happen.
I know.
So, okay. So with your boys, the goal is for them to go into practice. Hopefully
if they desire.
Or be entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But just be really good stewards with their money and their resources.
Yes.
If there was one piece of advice that you could give yourself
Okay.
at, let's say, senior year of college,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe even right after, as you were starting off on this journey,
Yeah.
knowing where you're headed,
Yeah.
what would you say to that young woman?
Do it sooner, go balls to walls. Like, you pretty much have it already. You're your biggest barrier. I can say so many things. Like, I could have probably been in practice for myself at year 2. Like, I've always been connected to like the business side, like taking great care of the patients and then focusing on the numbers. Like, how are we doing as a practice, measuring our growth and our success? And so I would tell her, do it sooner, be bold, be unapologetic. You have what it takes. And if you don't have it, you have someone who has your answer, and make that call.
And take up the space in
Take
the
up
room.
all the space. Yes.
And I do love what you just said
Yeah.
about finding the resources, because
Mhm.
nobody, no matter how
Nope.
little or how much you think that they have in their corner,
Yeah.
everybody
Needs
needs
someone. Yeah.
the team.
Yep.
Everybody needs the village.
Absolutely. Oh,
I mean, you hear it
can go.
with parents.
Yes.
Parenting, it takes a village.
Village,
The reality
yes.
is, being in this business owner or corporate America,
Yes.
it takes a village.
It does. I can't do anything without my team. Like, I believe I need someone chairside. I need someone answering the phones. I can't do all of that. I need my team. Absolutely.
Find your village. Find all of the people that are going to help you be
Yeah.
a success. And then subsequently,
Yeah.
they'll help you and you'll help them, and it'll be a lovely thing.
This is good.
What is, as we wrap this up,
Okay.
what is your one dental tip for everybody?
Oh, brush twice a day, floss at least once a day. You have to, and using traditional floss. Not only like one of those
water pick
like a
things?
water pick or an air flosser or anything. Those are great adjunctively, but you want to use traditional string floss. And if you have to do something on the go, I'm okay with you using a little pick.
Okay. And then last thing, as a mom, do you have like special ties with the tooth fairy?
Oh yeah, I do. I am the tooth fairy. Yeah. I am the, it's like we're whispering. Yeah.
I feel like
yes.
I bribe my kids all the time, and I'll say, the tooth fairy is going to look at that tooth and be like, I'm not leaving any money for that thing.
I love that. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Oh, that's good. I always ask my friends, like, how much money does your tooth fairy leave? And some of them are like, oh my God, $20. I'm like, for a tooth? Whoa. I'm like, your tooth fairy is rich, Money mindset, though.
Money mindset.
Yeah, so.
Well, so for anybody listening, where can they follow along on your journey or get in touch with you? Because, guys, I don't know if it translates if you're just listening or watching on YouTube, but she is amazing and feels good. Find rooms that she's in and get in those rooms.
You're the best.
Where can they find them?
They can find me on socials. I'm The Daily Dentist. And I also have started a women's network for multi-passionate women in dentistry. It's called Dental Femme. We didn't get into that, but we can another time.
Yeah.
It's called Dental Femme. And you could just connect with me on any of the platforms, Threads, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, so The Daily Dentist. That's
so
me.
the networking group, is that strictly for women in your field?
Yeah, multi-passionate women in dentistry, but you don't have to be a dentist. You have to be somewhere in the dental world.
Hygienist or work in the office or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh
so we're going to be talking about like financial literacy, being entrepreneurial, using your talents, leveraging your gifts, podcasting, all of the things that I've somehow tapped into as a dentist. And the fact that we have so many skills that are transferable outside of the office.
And I hear that you may be the next rising star in the podcast world.
I'm doing a little something. So I whatever, I'm open to any door that's going to open. That's the door for me. And, I just pray that it's one that no man can shut and only he can open.
I love that. Well,
thank you.
Thank you so much for spending the afternoon with me.
Absolutely.
And let's make a habit of it.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do this.
Thank you all for listening and joining. As always, I hope that you get something out of this that is tangible, that makes you feel good about where you're at, the journey you're on.
Yeah.
And as always, like, subscribe, share, all the things, and let's change the way women think and feel about money
Let's
together.
do it.